Greetings, everyone, and welcome to a new exciting show. It's another episode, y'all. It's another episode of the You Thrive Everyday Show. And I am your host, AP, owner and founder of You Thrive Coaching and the You Thrive movement, because it's a movement, baby. You thriving. Okay. So today we have another special guest. A master teacher. Dun, 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 dun. I need an introduction out this mug. You know what I'm saying? So, Nigel, please introduce yourself. Tell us what you like to be called and where you are from.
I just keep it pretty simple. I'm Nigel. That's what I like to be called. I'm originally from the Virgin Islands, St. Croix. That's where I'm from. I grew up in Florida, and then I moved out here to Missouri, St. Louis. That's where I'm at right now.
Yes, sir. So
Mhm.
today, this is a very special episode because we usually do one or the other. We usually have an interview where people share their lives and their trials and tribulations and their up and downs and all that beautiful stuff and how they came on the other side or how they're still working on and making progress, you know? So today we're gonna mix it up a little bit. We're gonna get into the story and then we're gonna talk about spirituality and why it's important and the fundamentals and how do we get into it and all of that beautiful stuff. So, can you please start us off with your introduction and how you got started?
With me, basically, I got started. My introduction was basically when I started probably around when I really started having like I want to say like asking about God and life and stuff like that was like when I was 13. You know what I mean? My mom had passed. That's like the first death I ever experienced. And it was like definitely something that made me ask that question. My mom had passed. She had an aneurysm to the brain and she passed suddenly. So I went and seen her at the hospital and she was in a coma. She woke up out the coma. And, what stuck with me was what she said, and that kind of put me on my little journey or whatever. I asked her where she was, and she told me it's beautiful. I was out, she didn't tell me location. She was like, wherever I was beautiful, like absolutely beautiful. I don't even know how to describe it. And I came back just to tell you goodbye, And I said, what? Goodbye? Like, where are you going? She said, I'm leaving, but I love you. And I just came back to tell you that. So um, that's where it kind of starts. So my journey kind of started. Like I said, I went through that was like my first death I ever experienced. So she ended up passing, and you know, a few things that she did say to add to that. She did tell me like exactly what I was doing in the house, at home, and stuff like that. And I was like, well, how did she know that she in here? And like, how did she see me? Like, what's going on? She got a camera, you feel me? I mean, it's way back in the days, but nevertheless, that was kind of spooky, you know. So that's kind of where it started for me. Unfortunately, after that, like I said, that was very traumatic to me. So I went through a lot of childhood stuff, you know what I mean, where I was really angry a lot of the times. I wanted to fight, went through a lot of stuff in school, went through that whole little bad boy type deal, selling drugs, got caught up in that. And you know what I mean? I got locked up when I was young.
Now,
I
how
mean,
old were you
right,
when you first got locked up?
I was like 13.
Okay.
Yeah, I was about 13 years old. And I did, in the time I was 13, I got out. I probably did like a year the first time. I did a year and then my dad took custody of me. My mom had passed. So my dad had custody and they kind of put me on a plane and shipped me to Orlando, Florida. That's where my dad was located at. So I came there as a, you know, juvenile prisoner, and then they released me into custody of my dad. And like I said, I was still dealing with the trauma. My mom passed. Didn't really respect my dad because we didn't have a bond. My mom basically raised me. My dad was there, you know what I mean? But it was a lot of stuff going on between him and my mom, you know. So and I was a mama's boy, so I sided with her 110%, you know. So long story short, as I was going through um, that type of stuff, um, you know, I got with my dad and we went from there. And, I got locked back up and I didn't get out till I was 19 at this time. So I did like 14 to 19, when I got old enough, then they let me out. And when I got in jail, when I was in juvie, um, uh, I was so distraught. Like when I got there, I was fighting the guards and all that kind of stuff. And
You was fighting the guards.
yeah, I was fighting the guards. Yeah, I was fighting the guards. I had a lot of trauma. My trauma was anger. My trauma got turned into anger. I hated everybody. Didn't matter who it was. You know what I mean? I mean, I knew some of the stuff that I was doing, I was supposed to get locked up for anyways, you know, and I was a kid, I was a young kid. So I shouldn't have been doing none of that stuff, no way. But just from that situation, when I got locked up, I was going through the trauma, the death of my mom still, me being locked up, all that kind of stuff. And they put me in a cell. And whatever cell they put me in, somebody already had like hung himself in that cell. And I don't know how I knew that, but I knew it. As soon as I entered the cell, I knew I could feel like the spirit or whatever it was. I don't know. At the time I didn't, like I was psychic or something. You know what I mean? But I can definitely feel like something was going on there. You feel what I mean? So I was feeling the same like mood that person was feeling. So me and myself, I tried to do it to myself as well. And then something showed up in my room and stopped me. Like a bright light showed up. I was a kid, so I didn't know what it was. You know what I mean? But it stopped me from doing what I was doing. I had
Okay,
to
hold
sheet
on.
everything.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
We say bright light. So we talking like, like a flashlight, like type of light. We talking about a little
I
spit
mean,
light, a little dot,
nah,
like
we just talking about a bright light. I mean, it was just really a bright light, like just a light, I mean, if you like, I don't know if it wasn't like it was like a figure of a person. You know
mm.
what I'm saying? And it was kind of like a dreamy type of state when it came to. It wasn't like I was like how me and you talking right now. You know what I mean? It was like when it showed up, it was like everything slowed down. You feel what I'm saying? Like it seemed to me like just life like slowed down. And it was able to communicate to me and told me it wasn't my time yet. You feel what I'm saying? And I said, oh, okay, cool. So all of a sudden, you know, like I said, I had the sheet wrapped around. I was doing my own thing with the sheet. And I just took the sheet off and it was like ain't your time. So that put me in a better spot. And then I did about 30 days in that cell. And they took me out of that cell and they put me in a different cell. And that voice was still with me. That the light, I didn't see the light, but I could hear. You feel what I'm saying? That voice still talking to me, and I was like, wow, what was that? And I thought, like I said, I thought it was an angel, whatever it was. I don't know. It didn't state what it was. I didn't know what it was. But, going to church, we went to church a lot when I was younger. So I said, maybe it's an angel or something, right? So when I got to the other cell, it was the Gideon's Bible. Every jail has those, but it was the Gideon Bible in there, and I picked it up and I was like, I'm gonna read this. Maybe I should read it. And I was like, nah, ain't your time yet. Like, don't read none of that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, even if you read, you're not gonna understand it. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it was just telling me what my time. So we started, that's kind of how I started off. And then like over time, I like forgot about all that stuff. Like, you know what I mean? You just living. So
So quick question. So when you seen the light and it was talking to you, was it audio? Like you can hear it out loud, like we're talking now, or was it like in
it
internal?
was the only way I can describe it is telepathy. You know what I mean? So telepathy is just like when you hearing a audio voice within you, like not like how I'm hearing you right now. You feel me? But it's like me hearing myself from within me. Just so give y'all an example, like I could say, hey, I could tell you, or I could tell the audience, say go without moving, without letting it come out, like from an audio type of way, or say go right now without using your mouth. Let's put it that way. You said it. Did you hear a voice?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. You see what I'm saying? That's telepathy. So you can hear yourself say go without it even coming out your mouth, without me even hearing it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm talking about. It was a voice like that. So if you want to compare it, so that's what I kind of heard. Um, and they told me, when it's my time, it'll come back, right? That same energy, because that's basically what it was. It was just energy. And I was young, so I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. So like I said, I got in trouble even after that. So like I said, they shipped me out to Orlando, Florida, to my dad. My dad had custody. We went from there, and then from there I got locked up, for drugs and fighting my dad and all kinds of stuff. I was disobedient, of course, in the streets, doing dumb stuff, going to school selling drugs, on the corner selling drugs, blah, blah, blah. So I ended up getting locked up for that. And at that time, I probably was like 14, you know. So I did. So I got locked up. They locked me up on, I had level, people who been in juvenile would know. I had a level 7, which is a year and a day to do. And when I told you I still was going through that trauma, right? Everybody, I just felt like, you know what I mean? I was angry and I just wanted to get the energy up off me every chance I got. So when I got in there, I had that type of mentality, so I ended up getting into a fight with a CEO. He pressed charges on me. I did another, so I added on 2 more years, got into a fight with another dude. You know what I mean? It just spiraled. And I ain't end up getting out till I was 19. So my 19th birthday is when they released me. And at that point, I was in a juvenile prison. So I got released, went into the world, you know, uh, you know, went out into the world, couldn't stay with my dad no more. So I had to get out into the world and, still what I know to do is hustle. So I did that. And I was hustling and doing all that kind of stuff. Met my ex-wife at the time. I met her. We had 2 kids. And, that time, we were in the kitchen or something. We standing in the kitchen. She got home from work. I was still doing my own thing, like I said, selling drugs, doing all that. And I heard a voice, the same voice. I remembered it, the same voice I heard when I was younger, in that cell. And it said, you need to get into a monastery. And I said, monastery? And I mean, I heard like bright as day. And remember, it was a sense of urgency behind it because remember the voice said, when I come, you remember the voice told me when it'll come back and let me know when it's time for me to pick that book up. So I always thought that it'll come back for me, at the end of the world. I mean, that was my own interpretation, right? So of course I'm freaking out. You know what I mean? I'm in there like, oh my God, I'm telling my wife at the time, like, hey man, the world's gonna end. We need to go to a monastery. She was like, what? A monastery? You ain't even said a church. You said a monastery. I said, yeah, that's what the word they use. And she was like, what is it? And I said, I just heard that voice. And then, I'm trying to tell her what happened when I was younger, and she knows some of the story because we together. So she knows some of the things that I went through and about the squad, you know what I mean? Because we did talk about my trauma. So, um, and then I heard the voice tell me to leave her next. They told me to leave her. And I said, if that's God, why would God try to break up a marriage? You know what I'm saying? why would I leave her? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna leave her. So I'm like, is this a demon? Now I'm starting to think it's a demon. Because you go through that battle with the voices within you, anyways. You trying to figure out whether it's a good voice, bad voice. Everybody got a conscience, and that's really what that is. You know what I'm saying? So as I was listening to it, I said, I understand, I'm freaking out, blah, 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 blah. I said, we let 2 weeks go by, and I'm still doing my thing in the streets. And I end up getting locked up, and I ain't gonna go into details of that. But I ended up getting locked up and was facing about 40 years, for what I did. And I had a lot of charges in different counties, you know. So when they finally got me, I had to go from county to county trying to fight all these charges. So the first county I was in, I went in there, I was pissed, still had that trauma, even from a child. At this point, I'm like 20, probably when I went in, I probably was like 22. You know what I mean? When I got locked up, went to the county and all that. So, I still had that anger issue. You know what I mean? For the passing of my mom, I still had that. So when I got in there, at this point, it escalated. I didn't feel like I had anything to live for, so I'm gonna kill somebody. And that's really what was on my mind at the time. So I'm just looking. I get on the yard and I'm looking for a victim. And before I got to the victim, I seen two dudes and they were talking about Revelation, and that caught my eye. You know what I mean? That kind of like stopped me in my tracks. I don't even know why it stopped me. It just stopped me. And I started conversating with them, but it was street lingo, like, and I guess they were Christians or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I was speaking like, street, like nigga this, bop, 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 woo, 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 woo. And dude said, you know what? He said, God told me to ask you, are you saved? And I said, saved? Yeah, I know God. This angel came and got me when I was young. I guarantee you I know God. You know what I'm saying? So we can have this conversation. Like, he said he come and get me anyways. But like I said, the monastery thing never panned out. And now I'm locked the hell up. So I'm thinking, like, well, what kind of plan is this? You know what I'm saying? Like, when am I gonna really be able to read this book, this Bible? You know what I'm saying? So anyways, I go back upstairs and I'm just thinking about it. Now I don't forgot about killing people and murdering folk. You know, I don't forgot all about that. So now I'm on a totally different vibe, and it's just that question just in my head. And you know what I said? You know what? I ain't never asked God, and I ain't know what God it was. You know what I'm saying? I'm real though. I'm really real. For being able to talk to God and all that. I'm gonna be 100% real because I feel like ain't nothing God don't know. If there is a God, I didn't even know that. You feel me? So when I got in my cell, it was just me. I didn't have a bunkie with me. So when I got in the cell, I just said to the universe right within. I ain't even said it out loud. I just said, God, I don't know who you is. I don't know if you're a male, female, you know, Christian, Muslim, Hindu. I don't know. Egypt. I don't know. With you though, like, do you know me? And I heard that same voice come back. Same. Well, we talked about telepathy, right? And we talked about hearing that inner voice that's within you. And I heard that inner voice come back and said no, and that crushed me. So now, not only am I locked up, not only am I away from my family, and I got a lot of family issues going on with my wife at the time. I'm away from my kids. I'm away from my immediate family. I'm away from all my partners, street family. I'm away from everybody. And now, truly, I just found out that God ain't rocking with me either. You feel what I'm saying? So that really crushed me. And at that time, I really had to face myself. You know what I'm saying? And I heard a voice came back and said, you need to sit down. And I sat down. The same little voice said, close your eyes. And I closed my eyes. When I closed my eyes, I seen images coming to me. Not it wasn't just images, it was shit that I did like when I was 10. You know what I'm saying? Like just shit I did to people that wasn't right, even my family members, sisters, brothers, cousins, just stuff that wasn't right, that I taught like it was like a replay, and I thought it was right. You feel me? Like ain't nothing wrong when I'm doing how I'm doing these people shit I did in the street. You know what I mean? And stuff like that, just came to me. And I really, really felt the remorse for what I did. You see what I'm saying? So I really felt like, man, that was wrong. That wasn't right. Man, why I didn't see that? How could I talk to my mama like that? How you treat my sister like that? You know what I'm saying? How I'm treating dude, how am I out here selling drugs to mess up the community and people, kids and little things that I did, shot at people, blah, 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 all this stuff. Like, how did I even think that was right? You feel what I'm saying? So every time I went through those images that came to me mentally, my eyes are closed, but I'm seeing it like a replay and it's coming to me. And I will repent for that. And I ain't talking about just repent, like say, I repent. I basically had remorse for what I did. And I asked for forgiveness. You know, I couldn't ask for forgiveness to those people because they weren't there, but I really had to forgive myself because I felt messed up at that time. You feel what I'm saying? So and this is what we call shadow work. This is truly what shadow work is. It's a discipline, because when we talk about spirituality, as we can see, I'm just going through the process. I had no preacher, no pastor, nobody showing me nothing. I didn't read the Bible at the time. I didn't read the Quran. I didn't read nothing. It's just coming to me mentally. You see, it's just coming from within me. And I'm just listening to that little still voice tell me what to do. You feel me? And then after I went through that for 3 days. The CEOs were like, "Oh, you got to get up and eat. You got to get up and shower. You got to, or we gonna take you down to site." You
Mhm.
feel me? So my third day, I just said, "Man, I don't feel like eating. I don't feel like getting up. I feel like staying right here, sitting right here, doing what I'm doing. You know, because I was clearing out all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? My mom's passing, all that stuff was coming to me. You know what I mean? And how I didn't really deal with that the right way. I never cried. You know what I mean? And that I didn't have nobody to talk about that with. You know what I'm saying? I never really dealt with those issues. But at that point, I dealt with it. That's the first time I felt it. The third day when I got up, I said, okay. They said, yeah, you need to get up now. You go ahead and take a shower. You know, and as I got up, I felt so light. I felt like I ain't had no burdens. Felt like I was at the beach. I mean, I felt so much peace, that I never felt before. So I was happy. And this me being in jail, losing everything, and I felt happy. I felt free. And I'm like, wow, this what they be talking about? You know what I'm saying? So I go to the shower. I take the shower and it's telling me like it's talking to me, you know, and it's telling me like let the water hit you, and when the water hits you, let it come up off you. All that stuff. Let's wash it all off you.
Mm.
So I'm going through that process of where I'm just everything then 3 days that I was forgiving myself for. That's really what it is. I hate to use the word repent. This ain't no pastory type stuff, but it's really forgiveness. Forgiving myself. You know, and I let it wash off me. I got out the shower, went back to my room. I went, got some chow, came back up, and I'm so excited. I'm like, why would God talk to me? Of all people, I ain't, I'm the least dudes that that a God or intelligence out there would want to talk to. I'm evil. I was the evilest of evil. That's all I thought all day. Murder, kill, kill. That type of stuff. So, anyways, going from that, long story short, I got back to the room, got back to the cell, and I'm sitting there, and they told me, "Hey, now you can go pick that Bible up." And it was another Gideon's Bible. I mean, I don't know if that's all they had in all these jails, but nevertheless, it was another Gideon's Bible, hardcover. So I picked it up, and I said, "Okay, I'm going to read it." So I start reading this thing, and as I start reading it, it was just like a bunch of stories to me. I'm just being honest. It was boring. So I just threw it back in the corner. I'm like, man, this book boring, man. So I'm like, God, you paid me to read this thing, man. That thing boring. Ain't nothing in there. Not a bunch of stories, dude going into a well. That's not interesting. I'm real like that though. I'm talking whatever God it is. I'm like, well, I guess you're a Christian God now, right? Because you got me reading this shit. That's how I was talking. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, nah, it's some stuff in there that you need to know. You know what I mean? So like, just keep reading it. Just promise me you're gonna keep reading it. And I said, all right, I'm cool. If you let all that shit come up off me and you did that for me, I'm gonna read the book. You know what I'm saying? So I picked it up and started reading it from the beginning. And no matter how I felt about it, I just kept reading it. And then the two dudes that had asked me that question, I went back to them. Like when they bust my cell, I went back to them. They were on the rec yard again, and I went back to them and I said, bro, I appreciate what you asked me, you know what I'm saying? Because, I had a lot of progress. So I started telling them like what was going on with me and how like they know I'm a street dude. They know me from the street, they know me from the hood, So he was like, what? You? So he said, you really, really having that type of, is this really going on with you? I said, yeah, man, I'm serious. Like, this ain't no jailhouse God or pretend situation because I'm in a situation. You feel what I'm saying? It's really happening, type stuff. So I'm explaining that to him. And he was like, yeah, once you ask that question, you can go from there. So, I never talking about Christianity and different things like that. So I said, all right, I'm just gonna do my thing because I know God is with me. I can hear it in my being, in my head. So I don't really need to conversate with nobody. I don't need no pastor or nothing. Taught me everything I know. So I went back to the room, started reading some more. And like I said, it was just a storybook for me. I say 6 months into my sentence, I'm still reading 6 months later. You feel me? And it's just a bunch of stories for me. Now I'm not truly participating in anything that's going on as far as like in the power with Christians and because you had your Christians, you had your Muslims, you got a lot of different people in there. You know what I mean? And they got different cliques. You feel me? So I wasn't clicking up with nobody. I was really in my room for 6 months just trying to read this thing. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's how committed I was. Because I wanted to know how could this happen? Is this real what's happening to me? Or, like how could I, how could I feel at peace while in my situation? So later on, 6 months later, I had a dream. One night I laid down and, went to sleep, same routine, went to sleep, and I had a dream. And in my dream, I went to pronounce, I remember I think I was reading Isaiah, it might have been Isaiah 16 or 49, one of them verses in there. And it said, Psalm 68:4 said Jah. And Isaiah 49, I think it was Isaiah 49, verse 7, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. But on that particular one, I know Psalm 68:4 do say Jah in there. So it say Jah. But I heard the voice say Yahshua. And I said, well, is that your name? And it said, yeah, that's my name. And I said, what? That's weird. Yahshua, that sounds kind of African to me. You know, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, is this some African shit? Like, what's going on? So I got out the room. We bust the room. I was reading a particular scripture though. And I said, well, and then gave me Psalm 68:4. It said, go to Psalm 68:4. So I went there and I read it. And it said, he will rise upon the clouds by his name, Jah. That's all it says in the Gideon. It says Jah in old Gideon. And I said, Jah. Now, I know what Jah is. My father is a Rastafarian, so I know what Jah, I know that's what the Rastas do. You feel what I'm saying? So I get that part of it, but it said Yahshua. So when I went to the Christian dudes, and I said, hey man, y'all ever heard of any Yahshua? Like God name is Yeshua? And they were like, nah, man, we never heard of nothing like that, bro. So one of the dudes who was sitting with the other dude that had told me that stuff, he said, he went into it and he said, yeah, I know. That's the son. And I said, what son? And he said, man, I have to explain to you later. A lot of people don't know that. And I said, okay, cool. He said, how you heard of that name? I said, oh, I just heard it. I just, you know, reading, and it just came to me. And he was like, what? I said, yeah, I was just reading. It just came to me. He said, okay, well, that's the son. I said, well, I don't, you talking about? I said, nah, that's God's name. You feel me? Because I didn't, I wasn't Christian, so I don't know nothing about no son and Father, Holy Spirit, all that crap. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been to church, but going to church as a child, like, you ain't paying attention to none of that, man. We sliding around the church, eating food, doing them, being a kid. You know, we ain't paying attention to all that religious stuff. So, anyways, that happened, and that night, going back to the night, because I had to set this up. So I went that night. I had a dream, and in my dream, I went to say that name. It was like the dudes who were with me in the cell. They were with me. It was a couple of them with me. It wasn't all of them, but we went in a circle, and they was reading the scripture. Just having a regular conversation like we normally do. You know what I'm saying? And I was about to say the name, and when I went to say the name, it's like I got choked. Not like choked violently, like something choking me or something like that. It wasn't like that. It was more along the lines of like I couldn't get the words out. And then all of a sudden, my dream started to vibrate. I remember that vividly. And I ain't talking about shake. I ain't talking about like when you shake or something, you know what I'm saying? Like you shaking this drink or whatever. I'm talking about it started to vibrate. You know what I'm saying? And I said, well, what's that? And all of us, I'm looking in the corner of this room. And I said in my dream, something coming down, right? Something coming down. And when I looked in the corner, first I seen some feet coming down. It was like a total shadow person. And it came all the way down to the ground. And when it hit the ground, the vibration just got, it just got crazy. It just went crazy. Boom. As soon as it hit the ground, boom. And the vibration just started to vibrate real bad. And I'm like, what the hell? So I said, oh, that might be, the first thing I said, oh, that's a demon. And ain't no way I'm facing that thing. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, but it's right there in front of me. So I said, so it felt it when I said it was a demon, it kind of reached its hand out. And remember I told you it was a total shadow person. Like it didn't have no like human features. It just had like an outline of a person, but it was a total shadow person, like shadow, like darkness, and it reached out and it put a hand into my heart, like in my body. And I felt it. And I felt the same, I felt that peace that came over me, you know, when I was doing my stuff, like it just remind was familiar. And when it reached into me, and it touched me, I felt love, like unconditional love. I was crying and everything. I never felt anything like that in my life. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, wow, that's God, that's God. Now I know it's God. I thought it was a demon because it was dark. You know what I'm saying? So I started bowing down. You feel like before I started like bowing down and like, God, why you come to see me again, man? Like, why me? That type of vibe. And really and truly, it looked at me. I could tell, like I could just tell when it didn't look at me like I had a face or anything, but I could tell how it felt. And it was pissed that I was bowing down to it. Like it didn't want me to bow down to it. Like it was like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like it was kind of like I don't know. It reminded me in the frame of mind like you called me here. Now I'm here. What do you want? You feel what I'm saying? Type deal. It wasn't like it's God type deal. Like it had like it's saying that it's God. It's more like, bruh, you called me here and I'm here. What do you want? You feel what I'm saying? And I was like, I didn't understand that. So I was still thinking it's God and all that kind of stuff, what I'm reading and what I went through and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, it's still God. And it was still pissed. You know what I'm saying? That I had that concept. You know what I'm saying? So then it was like, and then it was like, okay, it said one thing to me. It said everybody in your dream got gifts, including you. And I said, okay, cool. And then it said, well, I'm gonna leave. See, it said I'm gonna leave the way I came. And I said, cool. And then went right back up through the ceiling. and left. And then my dream started off, this is the freaky part. My dream started off right where it stopped at. Right when I was saying the name, that's when my dream started right back at. And I'm trying to tell them, and I'm in the dream telling them, like, bro, hey, bro, you didn't see that, bro? I was trying to get the name out, and I'm trying to tell them. And all of a sudden, I wake up. And then when I wake up, my window, we had like, I don't know how to describe it. Like in our cell, we had big cell windows, just one big window. But my cell was facing the rising of the sun. Soon as I wake up, soon as I stood up, the sun was coming up. And I felt my whole forehead, I felt like a crown around my head. And I just started staring at the sun. Some weird shit. Anyways, so I started staring at the sun and I felt like a whole activation around my head. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
And
what does the activation feel like? Was it like this warm feeling? Was it vibrating? Like, what do you mean activation? That's deep.
Yeah, the only reason I said activation, it felt like I was putting on a crown. You know what I mean? Like a literal crown. Like if you had a crown, like a hat, like I got a hat on right now, but just a half a hat. It felt tight all the way around, like all the way around my head. That's what it felt like I had a crown on. And then when I looked down, because the sun was coming up at this time too. So like I said, as soon as the sun was coming up, for some reason I wake up right when it's happening. And I'm just vibing with the sun now. I'm vibing. I'm in peace and everything. You know what I mean? So I'm like, can't wait to get out the room and tell these cats they got gifts. You know what I'm saying? Because now I really believe this shit. This shit is it's definitely not a coincidence. Yeah, who have a dream that a dream stop? I ain't never heard of that. And I remember every detail, like pinpoint detail. I ain't never had a dream that a dream stopped, bro. Like that's weird, and it ain't just stopped, it vibrated. You feel what I'm saying? So like it's just crazy. It's crazy. So, anyways, that was my first real true like spiritual like experience like that. You know what I'm saying? So I went and told the dudes and told them like we got gifts and stuff, and they were like, wow, bro, that's crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're like, man, I don't know how to feel about that. It's a shadow being, it might be a demon. How you know a demon ain't bless you? You know what I'm saying? I was like, because I would tell them how I felt. Because they asked me like, well, how did it feel? Like, what did they say? Like, how did it look? Like, how did it respond to you? And I told them the same thing I'm telling you. Like, it wasn't cool with that worship shit. It wasn't on that type of shit. Like, it wasn't cool with being worship and like when I bowed down to it, I thought it was God. Like it wasn't cool with none of that. It was just like you called me, so I'm here. You know what I'm saying? Like God summoned it or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? And it was there to do whatever it meant, what it was called to do. And it was just like get it over with, basically. You know. Well, it's kind of like how when somebody irritated, you know, kind of deal. That's kind of how it was for me. So anyway, so I moved from that. I'm just covering a little backstory of how I really got into it. I know it's kind of long winded, but nevertheless, definitely interesting story. So that same day when we got up, we went out. We was inside, and this time I had joined them for like a Bible study or whatever they were having, the Christians. So I sat down with them, and they were having a Bible study, and we were studying First Corinthians chapter 15. I never forget it, and the only reason why I never forget it is because at that point when we were studying that scripture, I remember I told you for 6, 7 months I was reading that book, and it read just like a storybook to me. I couldn't get nothing out of it. It was just like a bunch of stories, you know. And that day when I looked down at First Corinthians 15, I started reading it. And when I read it, I understood it. And I ain't talking about just like understand it. I can cipher it. You know what I mean? Like literally reading it, I know exactly what it's talking about. I ain't never had that happen to me. So I'm tripping out. I'm at the table like, what was y'all, man? Hey, listen, man, that ain't what it's saying. Because the pastor like, oh, woo, 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 woo. I'm like, bro, that ain't what it's talking about, bro. If anybody know, First Corinthians chapter 15 is really talking about the dead. It was talking about the body, right? But it's also talking about the eternal body, and how we had that, what the revelation was for me was that when I read it, is that we have that eternal light body within us right now. You know what I mean? Like we ain't gotta wait till we die and all that other kind of stuff. So that came to me immediately. When I read that, I got that from that. You feel me? So I was like, wow, that's deep. You know what I mean? Like I got, man, I gotta read this Bible back over, you know. So I was excited. And then a wind came through. A wind came through, you know, and we can verify this, you know, me and my partner, we still friends to this day, 25 years later. We still friends to this day, just from that experience. And a wind came through and hit everybody at the table. We in a confined area. We inside a building. There's no wind in there. And a wind came through and hit everybody down the table. And I was the last one to get hit because I get to watch everybody's expression. If they were talking, they shut up. And they just in the energy, you know, just sitting there in the energy, just basking in it. You know what I mean? It hit me and I just felt like I was at the beach. I mean, that's how I felt. I felt like I was at the beach just chilling. Like it was the most calm energy I ever felt. It didn't, like I said, dealing with this energy, I never felt like I was locked up. You know what I mean? Like my burdens were gone. Like just it was just a lot of stuff. Like some of the stuff they be talking about in Christianity, that's really true, really happened to me. But I didn't have a Christian experience. You feel what I'm saying? My stuff was just internal. It was just a lot of internal stuff that I was doing. You know, um, I don't know how to describe. I know how to describe it now, but I don't want to give the bread and the butter away. You know, before I finish the story. Okay, so so that happened. I went back. I reread the book, and as I started to reread the book, I started ciphering it. And what I mean by cipher is I started to understand and put things together in a certain type of light, to where I had light now, and that light that I had, I was giving to other people. You feel what I'm saying? So I end up like I said, I end up not touching any of my charges because that voice told me not to touch anything. Like don't go fight. You know, you gonna have to confess, be truthful of what you're doing. You know what I mean? And maybe the judge won't give you a lot of time. And I was really about to do that. Really about to go to court and confess that. I wouldn't fight nothing, go do nothing. So that's what that voice told me to do. And you know, if I call my boy, if he'll bear witness to all this, you know what I mean? He was there. He seen what I did. And I stayed on them charges. I did about 3 years, about 3 years going from county to county on, you know, just on those particular charges. You know, I had, like I told you, I had charges in different counties. So I would do like a year and a day because they were felony charges. So they hold you for 6 months. Everybody know this. You've been in the system. You know how it go. Okay. So I did a year and they dropped my charges. They have to file it. You know, they have a certain amount of time to file a charge, and then the state got to pick it up, and then the state got to do their thing, or they got to bring it to trial. I never made it. They just threw the shit out. And I mean, I had some stuff that I did. You know, like they should have prosecuted me on this, and they threw it all out. So I did the 3 years going from county to county. I had no bond status every county I went to. So they had a hold on me. So I had to go straight into, they take me straight to the next jail. You know, and when I got to my last one, that's what my big charges were. You know, a lot of big charges, a lot of drug, you know, heavy charges, some racketeering stuff. You know, got involved in a lot of things, but all of it got dropped. You know what I mean? All of it got dropped. Um, you feel me? I got let out that day. They said all I heard was they said, hey, Charles, pack it up. And I said, pack it up. Nigga, you know what type of charges I got? Pack what up? Where am I going? To prison? Nigga, you know, so he was like, nah, you going home. I was like, what? Home? Okay, maybe they got the wrong person. I ain't gonna object. I'm packing on, you know, I'm giving all my commissary, everything going. Y'all ain't had all this shit. And I got up out of there. But you know, once I left that, man, I walked, you know, from, you know, that county. I lived in a totally different county. I mean, I walked all day, 24 hours straight. Just, you know, I mean, I was just, thinking whatever God it is for letting me out, you know, give me another chance at life, you know what I'm saying? And I was just excited that, you know, I knew God and I wasn't going back to that life no more. I wasn't going to go, you know, hit the streets and do that, you know what I mean? Like what I was doing before, you know, so I got out and started, got a job and went back to school and did all that stuff, started flying right. And once I got done with that, I was still on the path, I was still reading the scriptures. You feel me? Which is the Bible. So I was still studying out of that. So as I started studying out of that, one day, again, I was saying Yahushua, so I wasn't saying what the Christian was saying, which was Jesus. So I didn't know, it was a big thing for the church for me. Like I wasn't going into no church because I felt like they were saying Jesus and stuff. They weren't really saying the name. So I'm like, I'm on a name game now. Now this is back when nobody was saying the name. Nobody was saying Yahuwah or Yahushua. You know what I mean? So when I studied, I got to the point to where I was saying it, Yahuwah or Yahushua, and I proved it. I proved it. So my whole thing was, I was able to go into the scriptures and show what the name was in Hebrew. So now I had access to stuff like a concordance. And I started reading, I done read the whole Bible now. So now I'm going word for word. And I'm going into a different language to try to figure out what it said. I know the Old Testament was written, they call it Tanakh or the Torah, and it was written in Hebrew. And the Brit Hadashah, the New Testament, was written in Greek. Okay. So I knew I need to study the Greek language and I need to study the Hebrew language, but I'm going to study it word for word because this is very important. Just remember certain things happening in my life that's a miracle to me. Might not be a miracle to you, but it's a miracle to me that these things are happening. So I ain't going nowhere. I'm going to study. If this is the book, then I'm going to tear this thing up. You know what I mean? I'm committed now. You feel me? So I started going in, and that's when I said I found the name Yahweh. First, I found Yahweh in the book, right? So when it comes to Jesus' name, everybody should know this by now. Like I said, I wasn't attending. I would go to different churches, but like I built relationship with the pastors because they knew this stuff. The congregation just knew Jesus, and they were all about worship. You know what I'm saying? They really weren't about really reading the Bible and really learning it and stuff like that. They were just about worship. It was really women driven. You know what I mean? It was a lot of women in there, so they were just worshiping for real. It won't really a lot of lessons, and you know what I mean. So we couldn't really get into the conversations that I wanted to have, which was why y'all saying Jehovah when we know the J was just created in the 1500s? This man was never called Jehovah. So I was trying to figure out, okay, and they was like, well, that's not important. Most pastors would tell me that's not important. I said, well, make it make sense, because as I'm going through the study, I'm just saying I ain't gonna go too deep in this, but I just wanted to point this out to different people who have come across this information and ask different questions why the Hebrew Israelites hold what they hold, or the or Jehovah Witness, or the Jews, fake Jews over there, or whatever they're adopt, or everybody else. And I'm not Hebrew Israelite either, by the way. Okay. So that's where I'm coming from. There's knowledge in everything. Okay. So all I'm saying is this. So coming from that standpoint, I did not understand why, if you look up the name of Jesus and the transliteration of that name, there's a difference between translation and transliteration. Okay. There's a difference between the two. And I'm not talking to nominal Christians. I'm not trying to, break up anybody's faith. All I'm saying is when you look up the name Jesus and they'll tell you, oh, it means salvation. What else does it mean? No J there. I remember that. J was just invented in the 1500s. So-called Jesus lived 2,000 some years ago. He called. So we know just from that he was called Yahushua or Yeshua or Yeshua. Some people would say Yashawahai. People would say. Nevertheless, and in everybody's preface of their Bible, they'll see when you read the preface, it tells you how to read the Bible. It gives you instructions. So it tells you every time you see God in capital letters or Lord in capital letters, the Yod He, Wah-He is rendered. This is where you get the name Jehovah from. I'm doing a little lesson with y'all right now, but I'm just saying. So in every preface of the Bible, it tells you how to read this thing. You want to read it, but how the translators took the name out of the book and replaced it with God and Lord. Okay? This is why the Hebrews so hard on what they hard on, these Hebrew Israelites out here, because it do make sense, right? That is the truth. It is in your book that you say you believe in, right? So nevertheless, I'm with them on that. But anyways, once I found that, found Yahweh, found about the Yod He Vahe, why the church ain't teaching this stuff? You know, like why when I go to church, they ain't telling me nothing about this. You feel what I'm saying? Like this ain't a conversation that they having or they even teaching. They ain't teaching about Yahushua, but everywhere you read in the Bible, Big John chapter 17, the prayer of Yahushua is he saying that he prays in his Father's name, right? So if he's saying I'm praying in my Father's name, then who is his Father? What is his name? That's Proverbs chapter 30. So now we see the name game all through John 17. So all I'm saying is that, okay, name ain't important, then why is it listed in the scripture as being important? And we're going to get there. I'm going somewhere with this, right? Spiritually. Okay? Because this ain't just it. We're about to get out of we're about to see progress in the spirit. So you go on to that and you see that, and you see the importance of the name. Okay, so we're gonna do this. All right, so we just gonna pick up where we left off at, right? So the name, you guys can hear me pretty good. Okay, so the name game is what we're really talking about. That was my progress. So when you go into the Bible, I'm not gonna hold you on this topic, right? Because this ain't really what I want to focus on. But nevertheless, it's important because it's a key. And you see keys in a lot of different places. And when I say places, I'm talking about religions, right? This is just one of them this is the hand that I came up under. You feel me? So the key is the name, right? So when you look up Jesus' name, like I said, it goes back to salvation. Most people will say what Jesus' name means salvation. What it means, Yahweh is salvation. He's the God of Israel. Let's continue. All right, so cool. So, like I was saying, the name game, what we see going on is we see that the name Jesus just don't mean salvation. It means Yahweh is salvation. Okay, and Yahweh is the God of Israel. All right. So what happened to me prior to this was I found out that Yahweh, and of course we was repping that, and I was asking the pastors why they ain't teaching in the name of Yahweh, which is the God of Israel, but you teach in the name of Jehovah ain't a God of nothing, right? Because Jay was just created. So the Christians don't know that the God that they worshiping is a God of Israel, right? And that God has a name. So now we know that the salvation that they quote unquote say they're standing in is coming from Yahweh, because it said Yahweh is salvation, right? Okay, that's the meaning of the name. It's the meaning of the name of Jesus. All right. So now, again, once you find that out, and then you find out that his name is Yahushua or Yeshua or Yeshua, okay, or Yahushua, okay, you see the Yah there, the Y-A-H-U, okay. Well, I'm gonna leave that out. Y-A-H, that's what you see, which is Yah, okay. So that's why he said he came in his father's name. That's I think that's Matthew chapter 5. He said, I came in my father's name and they received me not. If I came in another name, him you would receive, right?
So he said he came in his father's name. What is Yahushua's name? Yahushua. What is his father's name? Yahweh. Feel what I'm saying? So this is what he was saying. So nevertheless, they took the name out the book, and they did what they did. Nevertheless, okay. And the only reason why I want to go over this, and then we will see what really happens or what really transpired that flips this all on his head, okay? Because there's more to it than this. So one day I'm doing a study, okay? This way back, it's probably about, I want to say 20 years ago. And I'm doing a study at this point, like I'm adopting all Hebrew stuff. So I'm doing a study for the Shabbat, which is Saturday, because that's what they worship on. Okay. So I was doing it on Friday sundown, Saturday sundown, like I'm really lawful. I'm doing all the discipline, 613 laws, all that. I'm totally into all that stuff. And I'm sitting on the couch, and all of a sudden I start hearing this sound. Okay. And to me, when I hear it, it sounds like when you turn the TV to a station that's not a station, and it's like shh. That's what I'm hearing. And then it changed, and now it sounds like electricity. I'm hearing it in my ear. Now, true enough, my wife at the time, she was cooking, and I'm sitting on the couch just like I'm doing now, and I'm really just reading, getting ready for the Shabbat, because I had to present a lesson for the Shabbat. And I hear the sound, I keep hearing it, and I get up and I ask my wife at the time, do she hear it? And she said, nah, you tripping. Like, what are you hearing? I said, I'm hearing like an electrical sound, like, I don't know. And she said, oh, it might be a transformer outside on the pole. I said, what? So I said, all right, cool. So I go outside, me and her go outside, and we look at the light pole, and we looking for the transformer. And I see the transformer, and I don't hear nothing coming from it, right? Because I done heard bad transformers on pole before. So we go back in the house, and she said, nah, you tripping, man, you tripping. I said, well, let me go check all the TVs. I check all the TVs, long story short. So I said, I'm still hearing it, and it's getting louder, right? So then I go to my box and try to, the box where all the switches at. And I try to switch it off, and I switch off all the power in the house, everything, the main thing. And I still was hearing it. So I switch it back on, and now she freaking out. She like, you is truly tripping. Like, you need to calm down or whatever. What's going on with you? I said, man, I'm hearing something. I'm literally hearing something. She said, nah, you tripping, because I don't hear anything this whole time. So I said, okay, cool. So she went back to cooking. I went back to sitting on the couch. So now I'm acting like I ain't hearing shit, because now I'm thinking to myself, I'm tripping. You feel what I'm saying? So I keep hearing this electric sound. Then I heard this, I heard the voice. Now remember, this voice always been with me. The same voice I heard from back in the days. And it's not a peculiar voice. That's what I want to tell people, okay? It's not somebody else's voice. It's my voice that I'm hearing, okay? I'm hearing my voice, but it's talking to me. You feel what I'm saying? I'm hearing my voice within me, within my head, but it's talking to me, okay? So I heard the voice said, close your eyes. So I closed my eyes. And as soon as I closed my eyes, I can really hear that sound now, right? Like, as soon as I closed my eyes, I heard the sound, and I'm like, wow, what is that sound? And then I start seeing colors, red, green, when my eyes were closed. And it's weird. I'm trying to describe it to you, right? So when I closed my eyes, it felt like it's out of the energy. It felt like the energy of that light, that red, green, yellow light, purple. It was like the rainbow. Okay. It was coming like from me, and it was going out this way. And it was just coming. It was like coming back. But it was coming from me, and it was going straight out, and it was coming back, and it was going straight out, and it was coming back, and it's going straight out, and it's coming back. But this light, whatever this is, was red, green, yellow. It was like a rainbow. So I'm looking at it, and I'm like, bro, I know I'm sitting on my couch. I opened my eyes at that point. So I opened my eyes. She's still cooking. And I said, I wanted to say something to her, but she was already freaked out, right? So I was like, I'm not gonna say nothing to her. She gonna think I'm crazy. You know what I'm saying? So what happened? I went back, I closed my eyes, and I said, man, I see the same thing. So I'm like, I know I'm sitting on my couch, I'm not asleep. I'm not dreaming. You feel what I'm saying? So as I close my eyes, I'm still hearing the sound too. So as I close my eyes, I heard the voice say, because I was looking at the colors in amazement, right? I'm like, just like you would, right? So anybody would like be like, wait a minute, my eyes closed. What the hell is this? You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at the colors and I'm like, okay, cool. And at the same time, the voice told me, don't play with it. And I said, what do you mean? It said, don't play with it. Like my voice said, don't play with it. And I said, why? And it says, your thoughts. Leave it alone. Or you're going to go into the dream world. And I said, dream world? Like this, that's what I'm trying to tell you. This is what I'm trying to tell you, sis. It's crazy.
Look, they like,
So
oh.
this is what I'm trying to tell you. It's crazy, right? So now remember all the things I done been through, the stories I done told you. Now, I'm Hebrew Israelite, all this stuff, right? But I'm having this experience, right? So it told me,
And then
don't
you
play
ain't
with the
on
color
drugs.
lights.
You ain't
Huh?
on drugs. I said, you ain't on drugs.
I didn't hear you.
I said, you wasn't doing no drugs.
No. I wasn't on no drugs. I was clean. Like I don't smoke nothing. I'm I wasn't doing none of that at all. No drugs. I was cleaner than cleaning a whistle. I wasn't doing nothing at that time. This is how it started for me, and I'm a connect this thing though, and that's what I'm doing. I know it's a little drawn out, but I'm gonna connect it for you. Okay, so what happened was it told me look ahead, and when I looked ahead, I seen a white light, and when I seen the white light, it was way ahead. Like it was so small, it was like a dot. That's how far away it was, and he was like, "Nah, focus on that." Don't focus on the colors. Don't worry about none of that stuff. I told you it's going to take you to the dream world. Focus on that white light. So I started focusing on the white light. And the more I started focusing on the white light, then that energy that was coming from me and going out and coming from me and going out, it started moving fast. And then the noise I was hearing in my ears started getting louder the deeper I went. And it felt like I was moving through a tunnel or moving through a certain type of space. That's what it felt like. I don't know, sis. I would say it felt like a wormhole. You feel me? That's what it felt like. Now it felt like I was actually moving. And I couldn't open my eyes at this point. Like I didn't even have control of it. I didn't have no control to open my eyes anymore.
Heavy.
But I knew, huh?
They felt heavy. Your eyelids felt heavy.
No, it just didn't. It ain't that my eyelids felt heavy. I could tell that whatever the energy was, like the sound, I was so entrenched in trying to find out what that sound was. It wasn't like my eyes were heavy to where like somebody's keeping my eyes shut. I didn't want to open my eyes.
Right.
Because I was trying to figure out what's going on. I was still conscious though that I'm sitting on my couch. So I'm saying to myself, I know I'm sitting on my couch. How in the world am I seeing these colors? And how am I moving so fast? And where am I going? And what is that sound? You feel what I'm saying? So anyways, I get up on this, like all of a sudden, I'm going really fast now. The sound that I was hearing, like first it would sound like electricity, and then it sounded like it combined and became one sound. Like first it was like electricity, like it was duality, like it was two different type of electricity. And then all of a sudden, and I could do the sound for you. So when it started off, it was like, and you see how it kind of sounded like a little crackle that you can hear if you do it with your own tongue. It was like and then when I started going faster, it would be like
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? As it picks up velocity. So that's what I was hearing in my ear. You know what I'm saying? So as I got within and I got closer to this, whatever this white light was, the force that I was going, like how fast I was traveling, and ain't like I'm in someplace else. I know I'm sitting on my couch, clearly. Okay. But I'm seeing all this, not with my physical eyes, but with another eye. Right. And we're going to get to that. And all of a sudden I come up on this white light, and the force pushed me through the white light. And sis, I tell you no lie, it felt like I was coming through a woman's stuff. Okay. That's what it felt like. It felt like I was being born again. I got you. So it felt like I was coming through a woman's womb. Okay. So when I got on the other side, I stood up and I was in nothing but light. And it was brighter than the sunlight. It wasn't no trees there. It wasn't, I was somewhere else. It was just light. And I'm just standing in it. And when I stood up, you know, I was like, wait, where am I? That's why I said first, I said, where am I? And I heard my voice, the voice I normally hear, say, you at the bridge. And I said, bridge? And he said, yeah, you at the bridge. And I said, wow. And I said, you know how people would say you have so many different questions to ask if you ever met God or you ever had like a deep spiritual experience like that. And I never have any questions other than like what's pressing at that time. And for me, what was pressing at that time was, what the hell is that sound? I'm still on the sound shit, because at this point it's deafening. It's like, it's so powerful. It's like taking over my body, everything. Like I have never. So the voice said, hold on, I'm gonna take you up there. And I said, okay, cool. Take me up where? What are you talking about? So it took me up there, and all of a sudden I wasn't in this place with the light no more. I'm in space. And I could see the whole universe, like we far back. And I could see the spiral, like it was a spiral. I could see the whole universe. And then they said, and I said, what we doing out here? And they said, you wanted to know about where that sound coming from. So they said, hold on, we gonna go to your constellation. And I said, all right, cool. So he said, so all of a sudden we in the Milky Way. We like in the constellation, I could see the asteroid belt. I could see everything. Saturn, the moon, I could see planet Earth, I could see the sun, I could see all these planets. So we standing there and we having this conversation. So he said, I said, so why we here? I ain't hearing, like I'm still hearing this sound, bro. Like, where's it coming from? And he was like, hold on. This is the first time I ever heard this in my life. He said, hold on. And this is the first, I'm telling you, I haven't read in no book. I haven't read anything about none of this stuff. This stuff is really how I received it. He said, hold on. Let me adjust the frequency. I said, what? Frequency? What is this dude talking about? That's the first time I ever heard frequency in my life. Right? So I'm like, what's this dude talking about, adjust the frequency? So literally like a radio station, he is adjusting what I'm hearing in my ear. So literally he's changing it. And he's saying, he said, you're a human, right? So you hear it like this, but this is how we hear it. Right? And I said, we. And he said, yeah, we. So when he changed it, I heard a symphony. And what I mean by a symphony is I heard, when you go to, what you want to say, sis? Help me out with this. When you go to like an orchestra, mm-hmm. and you hear every instrument playing at one time, and it's in harmony, like total harmony. I'm talking about none of the instrument is out of harmony. It's like in total harmony. And it was music. The most beautiful music I ever heard. I never heard it. I never heard it on earth. I can't compare it to nothing because I've never heard music like that ever in my life. You feel what I'm saying? It was beautiful. But it was like classical music. It wasn't like the rap stuff, blah, blah, blah. None of that. It was like real classical type music, but I could hear every instrument playing at one time. And he said, I started crying. Like, I don't know, I didn't have a body at the time, but I felt like crying. I mean, it just brought that on me. I was crying like a baby, you know, and because it touched me that much, you know, the music did. So, and people know that music do have an effect on you. Okay. So, he was like, okay. He was like, now you see what I'm talking about. So this is how we hear it. But then he changed it back and he said, this is how you hear it. And I said, wow, that's crazy. So you telling me that little sound that I was hearing, that is really a symphony? And I said, where? I said, so you not explaining. I asked you where it's coming from though. So he said, come on, let me take you to Saturn. So we went to Saturn, and I heard Saturn. I heard a noise from Saturn that was coming from the planet, like music, like a chord, you know, like its own instrument. And it was like da-da-da-dong, da-da-da-dong, and it was like fair. It was really loud, and when it hit me, when the frequency or the noise or the whatever it is, the music hit me, I was scared, bad. I'm talking about the ultimate fear. I ain't never had fear like that. You feel me? I'm like, bro, turn that off. Turn that off. I was so scared. And he said, okay. And then he said, now you remember when you did your studies that you studied about the angel of death, right? And I said, yeah. And then he showed me the image, which was the Grim Reaper. And he said, that's that frequency. That's why they call Saturn the Grim Reaper. You're not understanding, right? It's a frequency. And he kept saying it. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's why. Then he said, no, they personified it and they turned it into a God, but it's really just a frequency. And this is what the energy is given off. So they turned it into the Grim Reaper with the you know, little thingy, you know what I'm saying? And time, chronos. You know, I study all that, Greek mythology. So, anyways, I went from every planet. He took me to every planet in our immediate, like right here where Earth's at, not through the whole Milky Way, but just right here. And he let me hear every sound of those planets, right? So then after we did that, like he let me hear the sun. Now the sun frequency sound just like They sound more like than all the other planets do. But all the planets when they come together, they just, you know, when the whole universe come together, all these planets, all these frequencies and energies, and, you know, when they come together, it's a song. And that song is creation. You feel me?
Mm.
So, and that song is Okay? That's the sound. Now, I didn't know none of this stuff. Okay? So when I came back, we went back to the bridge. He took me back to the bridge. And he said, okay, we back at the bridge. He said, you understood what I told you? I said, not really. But that's crazy. You know, that this sound. And he was like, yeah, it's right? And I said, oh, okay. And I said, so then I said, even though it sounds like me, right? I asked him what's his name. And he said his name is Yahutua. Right? And he said, I have a number too. You know, and don't you forget it. And I said, you got a number. Can you hear me, sis?
Oh yeah, I can hear you. Look, I'm like, what's the number?
I don't want to give you no goosebumps. But it's crazy. So he was telling me the number. He was saying the number, right? And I said, what number? And he said, 144 hertz. Hertz, right? He didn't say 144, just the number. He said 144 hertz. Then he showed me a body, like he put a body in front of me. And he said, everybody's body. He said, the bottom part of you spin counterclockwise. The top part of you spin clockwise. And when those two forces, the top and the bottom, come together, they form the core of you when you put those two numbers together. So when he showed me the body, he showed me the bottom half of his body was 144 hertz. The top half of his head, you know, on top of his head, that clock was 432 hertz. So when you combine the two, you get 288 hertz in the middle. Okay? So this is what he's telling me. So he said, when you go back, I want you to look it up. And I said, okay. So he was like, all right, I'll check you later. I mean, it was just like that. You know, these things are very 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 a little crazy. So anyways, so when I came on back, I was coming back through this tunnel again, and I was coming back to, I guess, to my body, if you want to call it that. At this point, I can't feel anything. I don't know. I can't see anything, nor can I hear anything, because all I hear is that sound. Okay. So at this point, I open my eyes. And when I open my eyes, I can't hear anything, nor can I feel anything. So I can't move my head either. So I'm just looking. I'm looking straight ahead. And when I look straight ahead, I seen one of the, like an EMT person there. So I'm guessing at this point, my wife done called the EMT, because I was sitting there. Maybe she was shaking me or whatever. So, but I can't hear what's going on. I can't hear what they're saying or anything. So I'm just looking. And they got the little flashlight and they're looking in my eyes, and they was like, you know, so then I start to hear a little bit, and I can hear what they're saying. So he was like, seems like he's just asleep. And she was like, how is he sleep sitting up? Like he's not asleep. I done shook him like 10 times, 10 or 20 times, right? And he didn't wake up at the time. So I'm like, okay, cool. So eventually I could start moving. So I start to move. And I said, nah, and I start to be able to talk. So I said, hey, I'm cool. I'm all right. I said, why you call an ambulance? She said, I was shaking you and you didn't wake up and blah, 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 blah. And it seemed like I was gone for a while. Like, to me, it
I mean,
seemed like I
you
was
had
over
to
there for,
see, because if she had time to shake your ass, call
call the ambulance.
911, they show up.
Right. So these things really did happen. So what I did, sis, is I went online as soon as I got done. Right. So they left. They were like, oh, you got to check with your physician and all that. I said, cool, whatever. So she freaking out. But I know I can't tell her anything that just happened, because she is truly freaking out. She like thinking I'm dying or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, nah, I'm cool. I'm cool. She was like, nah, babe, you know, like that really scared me. That really scared. I'm like, nah, I'm cool. I was just chilling. You know, so I'm just trying to tell her I'm chilling, right? So she just freaked the fuck out. So she was like, I just put food up. I'm not cooking. You know, I said, well, just order some out. It's fine. It'll be okay. But I said, I got to go in here and do some work on the computer, because I still got this thing I got to do for tomorrow. Now, in her mind, she probably felt like I was asleep, because that's why I'm kind of agreeing with her with, because I don't really want to tell her what happened. So I called my homeboy up that I usually do studies with, and I'm having a conversation with him about what just happened to me, right? So I could still hear this voice with me telling me what to do. So the first thing it told me to do is go to YouTube. This way back in the days too. So they told me to go to YouTube, and they told me to look, and I'm talking about at least 15, 20 years ago. That's how far back it's go. Okay. So it told me to look up the 432 hertz. So when I looked it up and I heard the sound, I said, oh, that's what I heard. You know what I'm saying? And I'm freaking out now. Now I'm freaking out. So my boy done made it over. He done made it over to the crib. So I'm saying, bro, I told everything I told you, bro. Look, right here. And then we seen the monks doing it, like the Swami monks in the orange, and you know, we ain't talking about no regular people. We talking about like the Swami monks before this became a fad and everybody. This way before that. You feel what I'm saying? So this about tones. So I got the tone. I'm like, I'm tripping now. He freaking out because I told him this over the phone. Now we finding all of this, right? So he went to the 400. He said, that's the sound you heard? I said, yes, bro. This is what I'm comparing it to. And we looked up the 144 hertz, same thing. Then we looked up I looked up that name, Yahutua, because I want to know what it meant. And I'm like, bro, that's African. Right? Now remember, at this time, sis, I'm a Hebrew Israelite. Okay. At this time, I'm a Hebrew Israelite, but I'm having different experiences. I've always been different, right? And I always flow with what my spirit is showing me. You feel me? So as I start to look up, I look up this name. I remember I already got the name Yahweh, right? But as I started to do research, guess what I started to be able to do? As I start looking up, and I wasn't fully into Hebrew, I just had a concordance that translate the word. You feel what I'm saying? But I didn't know how to speak it, and I didn't know how to read it. You feel me? I just knew how to look up the word and look for the translation and get the root and go back and, etymology. I knew how to do that. You feel what I'm saying? But I didn't know how to read it. So when I looked it up, I started reading it in front of him. And he was like, wait a minute, bro. I know you're not reading Hebrew. And I'm reading it. I'm reading the Hebrew. And then I'm looking at the symbols. And I'm like, oh, the name is not Yahweh. Where did he get that from? And I was looking at the Vav, and I started understanding like just how it's put together. You feel what I'm saying? So you had the Yod, the He, the Vav, He. Is no vowels in the Hebrew. So you trying to figure out, well, how did they get the vowels? How would you get vowels in there? Because when you have Yod and He together, you're gonna get Ah. So we know it's 5 vowels, right? So that's where you get Yah from. Okay. So what I did, what this being within me was telling me was, hey, look at the W, right? So the V in our alphabet came from the U. If you put 2 V's together, what do you get? A W, right? So a W is really 2 V's, and the V was represented by what looks like a B in the Greek. I'm giving you some knowledge here, okay? For all you Hebrews out there, okay? So what do you see is when you go to the W, it's a U sound, right? So now we're getting into sounds because we're dealing with the vowels. Again, so you got Yahuwah, Yahuwah, right? So the name that he gave me was Yahuwah, okay? So now I went back to the Paleo Hebrew and I started reading the hieroglyphics, okay? I started reading the hieroglyphics, and it would give you like a right arm and a little man with his hands up, okay? And then it'll give you, and I don't want to screen share. I don't want to really get into a study. You know what I mean? Anybody want to get in a study, they can contact me, and we can do it that way, okay? Because it's gonna take too long. But what you'll have is a right hand, behold it, the little man behold it with his hands up, and then you'll have the right hand again. So the right hand behold it, the nail. You'll have like a tent peg, okay? A tent peg. You see this in the hieroglyphic in Egypt too. You'll see that Y, or what we call an ankh, okay? But in Hebrew, in the Paleo, it looks like a tent peg where you hold a house down with. You feel me? So what it went in Egypt, it is the ankh. It's the same thing. Okay, it's the same symbol. That the ankh holds the house down. What house? Your body. Keeps it here. That's what house represents, right? So in their language, in the Hebrew, house represents the body. Okay? So that tent peg is holding the house down or holding the house together. You feel me? So what it was saying, translated, it means the right hand beholdeth the nail, which became the sign. Okay? But when we say Yahuwah, it says the right hand beholdeth the nail, which is the covenant. Katet, tet means covenant. X marks the spot, and the X is what you see over the pyramid from a bird eye's view. Mm-hmm. Starting to get it. So when you in the spirit and you looking from above, you see the X. Okay, Constantine says he saw X in the sky when he went to conquer. When he was in that wall, that's where they get the cross from. At least that's what they say. Okay, but it's really an X. And that X is a tet in Hebrew, T-E-T. Look it up. Okay? X, cross, same damn thing. Okay? So it would be Yahoo. So the name that was given to me, my name, spiritual name, for anybody who wants to challenge or say what they want to say, my spiritual name is Yahoo 2Y. Okay? That's my name. All right? So that means the right hand beholdeth the nail, 2Y, which became the covenant. Okay? That's what that means. Okay? So when we get into right hand, then you can go into all the scriptures, look up all the scriptures that's dealing with the right hand or the right arm. Okay? There's a plenty of scriptures that deal with the right arm. It's a plenty of scriptures that deal with the peg or the nail. Okay? Same thing. Peg, nail, same thing. Ankh, same thing. Okay? So you're going to learn these things. All right? So over time, and the reason why I'm going here is to show you how what the Spirit was doing and how it was taking me, right? My spirit, not just any spirit, but what we would call today my higher self. Okay? Which I didn't know was my higher self. Feel me? I just thought it was God. You feel what I'm saying? Because that's how it shows up to you. So that which is within you and that which you are trying to connect with that you're calling God is really your higher self in a different dimension. Okay? So anyways, so I went from that and I said all that to say this. So at that point, I had to get out the movement because my mind was different. So when it came to the Hebrew Israelites, they were just on the law and all this other stuff, but I'm having spiritual experiences. You feel what I'm saying? So later on, that took me into, again, I went from having that particular experience to really understanding the name game. And the name is where the key at for all you Hebrew Israelites. I don't care what you call him, right? So I'm not saying I don't care in reverence that some of you might say Yahawashai or Yahuwah or Yahushua. I ask you, what does it mean? What does it translate to? The transliteration of the name is important. It ain't how you say it, right? But the transliteration is what holds the key to the kingdom. Okay? For all you Hebrews, all you Bible poppers, everybody out there that's reading scriptures. Okay? You say why? You say why, Nigel? Because it's the meaning of the name, right? And they might say Ahaya, Asher, Ahaya. Some people call them Ahaya. Aha, Yah, Y-A-H. Okay? Asher, Ahaya. Okay? I am that I am, or I will become what I will become, or simply exist. Right? So we're gonna do a little bit of work here. We're gonna do a little bit of work, and I'm gonna be quick with it. I ain't gonna be long, and I'm not gonna go to share the screen because it's gonna take too long. Okay? So I'm trying to compress everything, trying to compress the knowledge, but I'm just gonna give it to you, and you can do your research. Okay? So what I did, or what the Spirit showed me, particularly to do, is it showed me about the I am. Okay? So what I did was I wanted more light. Please, people, ask for more light. What is light? Information. Your Bible says that God is light. But if you look up what light is, it's electromagnetic energy, right? Or radiation, right? So if you go into the scripture and you break down the word ruach, right? You get to radiate, or the shakti. We ain't gonna go there for the Hebrew Israelite because they don't know about the feminine. Okay, they don't want to talk about the mother. We ain't gonna go there. We don't go there yet. We'll deal with that.
Show.
You said, what's this?
I said that's another show coming soon.
That's another show, right? So really, I'm trying to give it to you all right now. Okay, so as you look up I am, what that's gonna take you to, I ask for more light. So I ask my higher self for more light. And at that time, I wasn't calling it my higher self. I just thought it was God or an angel. You feel me? Or something like that. So I just asked for more light. I said, well, I want to know more, because everybody says it means to exist. But what does that actually mean? So you know what they told me to do?
Mhm.
They told me to look up the word in the dictionary, regular dictionary, not in the Hebrew. They said, go to a regular dictionary and look it up. And I looked it up. And it means exist, right? So I looked up exist. And they said, you know what you need to do? You ask for more light, right? Look up synonyms to that, to exist. So what I did was I look up the synonyms or like words, right? Listening to me? I looked up the like words to what exists mean. And what do I get? I get what you're going to get. You're going to get soul. You're going to get inner being. Oh, here we go. Oh, now this dude tripping. No, that's the definitions. You're going to get panoma, right? So what popped out for me was being, B-E-I-N-G. Like word, that means to exist. So what I did was I looked up being, and being brought me to reality. And when I looked up reality, like word, realization, right? And then I looked up inner being, and that brought me to soul, spirit, right? Same word, okay? In the East, it's the same thing. Over here in the West, they separate it. And they say the soul is different than the spirit and all that crap. No, it's the same thing when it comes from the East. These Asian languages, soul and spirit they interchangeable. It's the same thing. It's not different. Okay? In the East, the Atman is the soul and it is the spirit. Atman, Hindu, Sanskrit, that's Eastern stuff. Okay? It's the same thing. So what do we see here? What am I saying here? What I'm saying is that once you look up the like words, you get soul, which is like word would be inner being, would be realization, right? So what do? I put the words together and I look up soul realization. Soul, hey, hear me out. I looked up soul realization. Where did that take me to? It took me to the East, and it took me to the Vedas. See? So now I'm Hebrew Israelite, and I'm studying Sanskrit and the Vedas, Hinduism, right? And I don't want to say Hinduism because Hinduism is the religion. The Vedas, and these cats say, well, scripture, you can only, you read scripture, and scripture is the way, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, you can say that, right? But who are the people that wrote the book according to you, right? So when I went into the Vedas, you know what I found, sis? Oh, here we go. See, now that they're gonna say something, but nevertheless, this needs to come out, right? You know what I found? I found that Brahmins, the Brahmins over there, that's why he's called Abram, okay? They try to break the word down and say, oh, Abraham, because he was over Ham, all that. Abram is from that region. He was the first Brahmin. Abraham, okay? That first letter, is Aleph, which means first. But Brahmin, okay, not the god Brahmin. They were. I'm talking about the priests. That's the first priest. Okay, so Abraham will be the first priest. Okay, male patriarchal priest. Starting to get it? Okay, we gonna go beyond Abraham now. But hey, we stop right there. So first priest. So that's what that means. Okay, so we knew what we know from studying. If you study the Vedas, you get into the Atman and you get into soul realization. That's why I want people to look up. So the name Yahweh, not Yahweh, Yahuwah, you can say Yahweh if you want to. You can say that. But Yahweh is a different God. That's a different angel. That's the Anunnakis. And we ain't going all the way there. That's a whole study for another time. Okay? So I say Yahuwah. I don't say Yahweh because Yahweh is again, it's an angel. Okay? That's not the source of creation. nor is Yahuwah the source of creation. Okay. So what we're going to do is, from that aspect, we see that the name took us to all these different aspects. No. And you got all these different aspects. So we see that it brought us to soul realization, right? So truly to understand soul realization, that's going to take you back to the Vedas. And the Vedas talked about it like Atman. Okay? So they call it the Atman, which is the soul or the inner being, the being within you. Okay, so let me read that, right? Because all this is in the scriptures, right? So we see that right from the name. So when people come to you and they say, oh, that's crazy, Baba, can we find that someplace else? Yes, we can find it someplace else. We can find it in the Vedas. We could find it in the Egyptian Book of the Dead. We could find it in the Bible. We could find it in the Quran. You feel what I'm saying? We find it everywhere. It's everywhere. Okay? This information is everywhere. Okay? So, hold on one second, sis. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, hold on. Let me do it this way. So I'm going to share my screen so you can see. Okay? So bear with me here. And we're going to do a quick thing. Screen. Okay. And just let me know if you can see, okay?
Mm-hmm. We can see.
Okay, cool. So what we're going to do is soul realization, right? And you can do everybody can do this, okay? So remember, we're going to look up that word, soul realization, okay? So we're looking that up. So we see it right here, right? So we see it right here. It says, soul realization is the process of uniting your incarnated soul with your higher soul. So does that sound like your higher self? Okay. The incarnated soul is often referred to as the lower self or personality. Okay. So let's go on down. Okay. So we know soul, another word for soul, we going on. Abraham is part of the Vedas and he's a Brahmin. So these Brahmins wrote this Atman realization, right? So we're going to do the Atman because that's what they call it in Hindu. You see it up here? Can you see, sis?
Yeah.
All right. So in Hinduism, the Atman realization is the union with God. A state free from worldly attachments, greed, pride, and ignorance, and is described in the Bhagavad Gita. As the central scripture of Hinduism. So now we just figured out all of Hinduism right there, right? So this Atman, or this Atman realization, is the union with God, okay? But we just explained when you looked up soul realization, it is your lower self, incarnated self, is becoming one with your higher self, okay? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what we see right within the scripture, right within the name. These are the keys, okay, for the people who read the Bible. Okay, the keys within the name. That's why the name is so important. We talking about pronunciation. Okay, we're not talking about pronunciation. The demons are when the people say, when I say Jesus, demons flee. It's not because you're saying Jesus. You feel me? It's because you and your higher self are becoming one. That higher self, that incarnated soul, and your higher self, which you are right now, sis, you sitting right there. That's the incarnated you. But there's another you in a higher dimension, right? Now that we know about quantum entanglement, right? That proves that it's another you somewhere else. It's called a multiverse. Okay?
Yeah.
And that higher you is in another dimension, right? Or let's use a different word. Let's not use dimension. In another realm or another planet or in a whole nother universe. Starting to get it? All right. You with me so far, sis? Okay. So right there we see that, right? So that really, so when we look at that, right? We look at like words. So now we're gonna go real quick. We're gonna go to psyche. That's another like word, right? Let me make sure I spell it right. I'm just gonna do it this way. Let it come up. There we go. So look at this. See how I'm going down? I'm showing y'all how to do it. Okay. See how I just clicked on that, sis?
I can't see your screen.
You can't see my screen?
No. Hit the share. Are you sharing?
Oh, hold on. It might have went off. Okay, let me go back here. It might have stopped. Okay. We're gonna do screen.
Thank you guys for our patience. This is our first time sharing screens and shit online, you know.
Okay. All right, so we should be good now.
Yeah, I can see.
All right. So, all right, can you see this?
Yes.
So all I did was type in psyche, right? But I know if I typed in soul, psyche would have came up. Look, you see where it say similar at?
Yes, sir.
So that's the synonyms. So if I'm trying to expand my consciousness, right? Because we already done said that light, when they said that God is light in the Bible, we're saying that light is consciousness, and that consciousness is information. We get it? It's knowledge. Okay? When people ask me, I said we use what is the definition of light? Electromagnetic energy or electromagnetic radiation. Okay? We use that in fiber optics. What's coming through the fiber optics to the computer? Information, 0 1s, binary code. Starting to get it? Okay? And those binary codes is creating all this stuff that you see here. Okay? Just like the Matrix. All right? So look at this. As you can see, it says similar word, right? Because I like to show people evidence.
Right.
I'm not a person that's just going to speak on something I don't know. And the universe has never gave me something without evidence. Okay? So what do we see here? We see soul, similar words, right? Soul, spirit, inner self, innermost self, ego, true being, essential nature, life force, vital force, inner man, woman, persona, identity, personality, individuality, makeup, subconscious, mind, intellect, pneuma, ka. You even got ka there, which is Egyptian word, right? It's where you get ka, ba, la from. Ka, soul. Atman. See the Atman there?
Yeah.
Okay. All this stuff is here for you. So if you're trying to expand your knowledge base, why spirituality is so important, if you're trying to expand and you asking for more light, can the God in me give me more light, meaning more information, more knowledge, right? It's going to show you how to get it. So we see right here, you're just looking up similar words. So if it says soul, it says spirit, it says being, it says I am, right? And I don't get it, and I don't get the fullness or the full understanding or overstanding of it, right? Then I need to expand my consciousness by I'm steady looking. I'm going to keep looking. Feel me? All right. So we see right here. Look at this word. This word, P-S-Y-C-H-E, right? It says the human soul, mind, and spirit. Now, let's play with this word a little bit, right? So now we're going to do psychology. Psychology is the scientific study of the mind and behavior. So now we're getting into the science of things, right? You see the same word there, sis. You see psyche there?
Yep.
Okay, so psyche is already in this word. So we know psyche means soul. So now they just saying the study of the mind and behavior and all that. But we know it's the study of the soul. That's what they're studying when they call it psychology. So anything with this psych on it, now let's go here. Anything with this psych on here, right, is going to tell you about certain things. Look at this. Psycho what? Delic. Look what it says. We go on down. Dictionary. Can you see, sis?
Yes.
It says relating to or denoting drugs, LSD, that produce hallucinations and apparent expansion of consciousness. That's what psychedelics do, right? That's what they do. So now we see right here, we see soul and we see delic, right? Now, this is something that is hid from a lot of people because they don't understand the manner that the Israelites ate in the desert. And I could do a separate study on that, was mushrooms. The manner that the angel food, the manner that the Israelites ate, I'm not scared to say it, okay? I'm proving it to you by etymology and word study. It expands your consciousness. You understand what I'm saying? It's an expansion. We see it here. We say, okay, for those people who know who they really are, okay, right? What do we see? We're gonna see it everywhere, right? Let's go to the omics. Let's go to the omics. You still see my screen, right?
Yes.
All right, look at the omics. You see the mushrooms?
Yep.
See the screen? All right. See how they look like us?
Yep.
Look. Okay. Now some of these, you know, and I'm way past the Hebrew Israelite stuff, but I'm just talking for the people who know they're Indians. Okay, that they're Indians. Okay, so we see it right here. You see our ancestors been using this a long time, and for you Hebrew Israelites, it's already in the book. Okay, that's why Yahuwah told Yahweh, not Yahuwah. Okay, which is Yahweh is just one of the angels. Okay, he's not even an Elohim. He's an angel. He's his rank is different. Okay, so Yahweh is not the creator of this earth. He's the de-emerge according to the Gnostics and according to the very scripture you read. You just reading it backwards. Okay. And if you really want to know the meaning of the words, the Vatican finally came out and put out all the meanings of the words. You had a Vatican scholar that went in and he really showed about the Elohims and what there is not singular, it's plural. So when they said let us create man, and it talks about God in that sense, it's talking about the Elohim, a plural of counsel. That's what you read it in Job chapter 1. And that's why you see by the time you read in Genesis chapter 6, that you know when they said they came down and they slept with the daughters of men, right? Those angels, okay, they're clans of angels, okay. What you call it, what we call extraterrestrials, because what the white man did, not only the white man, we gonna go into other group. We can call them out though, the Moors, the dirty Moors, not the bad ones, not the good ones. I mean, you understand? What they did was you have to go back and you have to really study, because if you're not studying, hold on, sis, I'm come back to the screen here. Okay, if you're not studying, you won't know what's going on. Okay, you'll be lost at sea. All right, that's what's really going on. It goes into everything. So all I'm saying is that when you look at Elohim in the Bible, it is plural. And it's talking about, quote unquote, what you call an angel is really extraterrestrial. Okay? This is what you're not understanding. There's not nothing around here flying around with wings and all that other crazy stuff. You don't see that, do you? Okay. So what we're trying to show you is these things come off the walls. Okay? So when we talk about evidence, I'm gonna share my screen one more time just to show you this. Okay.
Did you just say what people are calling angels are aliens? Did
Correct.
I hear that correct?
Correct. You did hear that.
So
I'm going a little deep. I'm going a little
now
deep, but I'm gonna prove it, right?
You go ahead to explain that when you go ahead to explain it.
Okay. So let's okay, sis. I'm going to explain it, right? So let me share my screen with you, right? Let me share my screen with you. And then you can let me know how much time we got left, okay? I know it's getting juicy, but people can only take so much. All right. So what I'm gonna do, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to stone. Okay. So if we look up a cherubim, okay. Now this is drawings, but if I put it in stone, Samaria, Sumor, that's this ancient stuff. What do we see? We see the cherubim in Babylon. Look at it. This is a cherubim, quote unquote angel. Okay. We see one right here. This is where they get the wings from. Okay. Look. See it?
Yeah.
I'm not lying when I say this. I could take you to the stone. I'm showing you it in stone because a lot of people, look at this. This is the famous one. Okay. Angelic influence. You see that? This is where they get the wings from. This is where the Greeks get the rings from because they're going and they're watching these hieroglyphs and they see it. But what does that mean? When you read the hieroglyph, what is it saying? This goes back to the giants. Look at the angels, right? You see them at the end. You see them got the bag in their hand, and they got the pine cone, the same pine cone you see the Pope holding. Look, I'm showing you it. Okay, we can keep going. This all ancient stones. Look, and these people that you looking at in Sumor, okay, in Sumeria, okay, which is Babylon, is who? Look what it say. Look at them. What does it say? You read that for me, sis, if you can see it.
Elohim and an Anunnaki prince.
So now you know who it is, right? But now you need to understand why they got wings, because you got to be able to read their language, which is the cuneiform language, and you got to be able to read the hieroglyphics. The wings ain't mean that they got wings and they flying around. Wings mean that they have flight. Read the Vedas, you're going to see that they had technology back in the days. Okay? Spaceships, they have flight. Ruach means big, heavy thing in the Hebrew. Read the story again with Moses, when Moses was standing on the mount and he said he wanted to see the back of God, of Yahweh, right? Yahweh is one of these gods. He's one of these angels. He is not the creator. He's one of these angels, Elohim and the Anunnaki prince. Okay, so I'm showing you everything, digging up everything for you. So what I'm showing you is these extraterrestrials, these hybrids, okay, because you got hybrids from them that came down and slept with the daughters of men. That's a whole nother group. If you read the book of Enoch, Enoch would tell you about the 200 some angels that came down, and Samael was the leader of them angels. And they made a covenant on Mount Hermon to go in and slept with the woman, slept with the women, and they produced giants on the earth. Okay? You starting to understand what I'm talking about, sis?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm showing you that the wings that you're seeing on these in the stones that you're seeing on these beings. I'm gonna go back now. Okay. Let me stop that. All right, so the wings that you're seeing on these beings in Samaria just means they have just means they have flight. You starting to get what I'm saying? They fly around. In the Hebrew, the translation, if you read it with the correct translation, you will see as you start reading the book, it makes the differentiation. This is why by the time you get to Moshe, and he said in this Exodus chapter 3, he said, I knew your forefathers knew me by Elohim, but you now gonna know me by Yahweh. That's the de-emerge. See, this fight that's going on this earth. Okay, it's even to this day. Okay, why y'all think y'all fighting the white man and blah 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 and all rah rah rah? These the people that y'all fight. That's why the scripture says you're fighting principalities and powers in high places. When you look up principalities and powers, it's talking about your executive people. That's right here, right? The judges. They all know this. They're the one that's holding you really captive. You feel what I'm saying? These people in power, the sheriffs. You know, sis, with contracts and trust. We ain't gonna go there. Okay, so this thing is connected on all levels. But these things, if you go to Babylon, these things is how Babylon was built. They were built on contracts and trust. The Anunnaki. So if you go back and you read, man, just go back and look up Sumer and read about. And I don't think they just their society and how they have money and all this. You know how old Sumer is. And we talking about a whole money system, just like we got a money system today, the same exact one. We talking about contracts and trusts. Where it came from? It came from the Anunnaki. They had it in their own place, in their own right. And that knowledge went throughout the world. It went from one civilization to the next. Because every time we have a cataclysm on this earth, I'm going to say it again, the Anunnaki show up and they repopulate and they bring, that's why the pine cone, that's why the Pope hold the pine cone. Y'all don't know, I shouldn't release that yet, but y'all don't know that in the dark age, we had a cataclysm. That's why it's called a dark age. And the Pope was given authority or was given knowledge of how to build a civilization again by the Anunnaki. That's why he holds the pine cone. So you will see the Anunnaki, when you look them up, you're going to see them with a pine cone in their hands. And you're going to see them with a bag. That bag is a laptop. Or what we call a crystal laptop. Okay? Technology. Okay? That pine cone is the chip that they give to, that pass down, and they give to these popes and these people that they putting in charge. That's why the Pope say, I'm the victor of God. Of what God? The Elohims. Because God means Elohim. You're not listening. You got to go and do your research. If you don't know, ask for more light, and it will be given to you. But the work got to be done first. So this is all a part of what's going on now. Now, I know sis is well studied as well, and she know what's going on right now because it's the return of the divine feminine. Bless these sisters' hearts. They're going to get their shit back. Okay? So we have to understand that the patriarch was put into place during the dark age because we had a cataclysm. They knew about it, went on the ground like they always do. That's why you see all them building bunkers right now. We're going to put this out. Okay? They're doing the same thing they've been doing for years. This method has not changed. Every time we get closer to the cataclysm, this is what they do. We have a rise and fall. Read the book of Daniel about systems, right? Nebuchadnezzar saw the statue. He got Daniel to interpret what the statue meant. The statue was talking about kingdoms right? Rise and falls of kingdoms. What is that? What is that? What that look like? A sinute wave in mathematics, or what we call a serpent, or what you would call your heart rate or your EKG. When you go to the hospital and you see that spike going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, that's a sinute wave. The wave of what? Sin. For you Hebrew Israelites, okay? So we're gonna put some knowledge out here. We're gonna drop a lot of knowledge for a lot of different groups. And the thing is, we all gotta come together. This is why I'm trying to show y'all through the spirituality that your keys unlock everybody else's key. I just showed you two major religions that you can find the same thing in, and it's saying the same exact thing because those religions was linked to Abraham. So is Islam. And I ain't even went over Islam yet. It's saying the same exact thing. It's talking about your higher self. Now, every religion, you have something that's over it, that's spiritual masters, that's over it, like priests and stuff, that's over, that's really know what's going on. Then you have the lay people who don't have a goddamn clue. They just living. I call them NPCs, non-player characters. They don't know what the hell going on. They just living in this mess. Okay? They non-player characters for right now until they wake up, right? But we all will have a chance to wake up. And what's coming is definitely going to wake us up. Okay? It's definitely going to wake us. You're going to have a choice. When this earth shifts and we go into 5D, right? It's going to shift. It's going to change. So everybody's going to wake up. Everybody's going to have a chance. We're going to reclaim the land. All this is going to happen, but we all going to have to come together to do it. You feel me? All this division everybody got going on. You know, I'm a Hebrew. This person, Kemetic. This person, Nawubian. This person. We need the chiefs back. Chiefs got to come back. You feel me? And I'm a chief in my own right. You see what I'm saying? That's why I'm able to give this information, because I'm over there too. I'm not saying I'm a chief by a man who baptized me and blah, 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 all this crap. Or a man that called me to this position. I ain't want the position. I just told you my whole story and how I got it. I was called to be a chief when I came through the doors of initiation, which is the 3 doors that you see on the pyramid. 7-dimensional being. That's who you're talking to. So I know my position. And that's proven. Anybody know, anybody that's a chief on the earth know they got to look back at them 3 doors. That's how we pop out into the 7th dimension, 6th dimension, 8th dimension, 9th dimension. Different type of beings, because you are Elohim. Elohim is different from Yahweh. Yahweh is an angel. The Elohim's is your higher self. You are a fallen angel. You in this body, encased in this body right now. You feel what I'm saying? But you have to bring the 2 houses together. This is what the scriptures is talking about, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. You got to bring them houses together so they could be one. This is what y'all call Jesus, Yahushua, was talking about when he said what? When he said there could be a great marriage between the church and his bride. What does that mean? It's a parable in the scripture. And he said, go out. He told everybody, he told the workers, right? The people who know themselves right now, to go out and gather good fish, bad fish, ugly fish. We don't care. Just bring them all and invite them to the wedding. That's the wedding of your soul. That's the wedding of your inner being. When you meet your inner being, that's a wedding. That's a celebration. Because now you becoming who you are meant to be. And nothing can stop you at that point, because now you know who you are. And you tapped in to what you call God. Is your higher self. And your higher self is bathing. Is bathing. We ain't gonna leave mama out of this. Your higher self is bathing in the waters. Right? The scripture call it. What we call a baptism. That's what baptism represents. The water of the mother. The galactic center. Your higher self is bathing in that water. A mama, big mama. Put some respect on her name. and put some respect on the queens of the earth that's finna be giving back all this shit. You see what I'm saying? So all you patriotic men that like to hit, we run this, sit down, because the queens finna come and they finna run this, whether you like it or not. You feel what I'm saying? The mama finna rise up her queens and they gonna rule. That's how we get authority to the land, men. For years, I've been saying, man, I'm finna go out and get this land. I'm finna go out and get this land. Right? That's been my mission. 40, 50 acres or better. And I didn't know how to, right? So I know I need to come up with the money. I'm working 2, 3 jobs. I'm banking, I'm stacking. I'm like, yeah, I got to do this for my people. Right? And then the queens them come out. And then Big Mama come show up and let me know, hey, man, you got to go through them queens. I ain't talking about y'all who have land on a mortgage, bro. Guess what? You paying taxes. I'm talking about when these queens come forward, like the queen that we looking at right now, when these queens come forward, they own the land. They ain't paying no taxes. They're not under the United States corporation. Y'all not understanding what I'm talking about. They truly free. Y'all ain't free. We under this system. You got a birth certificate and a social security card. Stop it, man. And you paying a mortgage. You're not free. When mama give you something, when Big Mama give you something, just like when your mama give you a good gift, it's good. It ain't bad. Now we got more to talk about, man. But sis, you got any questions for me, anything like that, and then we'll just go from there.
You just went bananas. Bananas. I ain't got no question. But yeah, you just went bananas. I appreciate you. I wanted this to be a foundational thing, but I think we took it. I think this was beautiful because we set some foundation for those, you know what I'm saying, who are just now tapping into this energy, and we gave enough information for those who are conscious and are in this space, you know what I'm saying, to hold their attention. You did a spectacular job. I'm very appreciative. And of course, we have so many more shows to go. So many more episodes to go, because I'm already knowing that the people are going to be intrigued by this. I'm already knowing that there's going to be some questions. And we got the answers.
Right. So you can always, and like I said, sis, if they're trying to get a hold of me, they can go through you. You know what I mean? And y'all can go through her, and then she can get in contact with me, and then we can set up some times, for anything. We dealing with right now, I'm trying to work on contract and trust with sis. And again, these queens are leading the way. All I'm doing is following them, making sure they're good and making sure they get their shit back. You know what I'm saying? That's really what it's about for me. It's about protection as well, and playing my part, because that's what I'm called to do, spiritually and physically. And we find anything coming, reptilians, it don't matter what it is. You feel what I'm saying? We making sure ain't nothing harming these queens. We know all the stuff you know. So we ain't scared to put it over the airways and do what we do and blase squaze. They already protected. We coming like that. We coming with ancestral energy for you people who working in the black atmosphere. Okay. We coming that way too. We connected on higher dimensions, interdimensional travel. We travelers for you Masons. Okay. Just to let you know, we travel too. Okay.
So when you say people can get in contact with you, tell them what services you're providing.
I'm just really helping with the restoration, man. You got other people who call out here to do what they need to do. We got some chiefs on the land that is, being held, and they need to be released, and they will be. We confident in that, because the chiefs got to bring everybody together. 2024 gonna be a doozy for everybody. Everybody gonna wake up. I don't care who you are. All that pretend spirituality out the window. You wanna keep pretending? Fifth dimension coming for you. And if you ain't ready for it, transform. But you can always contact me, like I said, through this sis right here. You can give them your information, sis, and they'll know how to contact you. And then you can reach through her to me. I got a lot of things I'm trying to do right now. So that's why I'm trying to, let y'all come through the queen. Let y'all come through her, and then she can get in contact with me if necessary. If y'all want to study, y'all want a little bit more light, ain't no problem. I don't charge for nothing. It's free. It's freely given to me. It's gonna be freely given to y'all. You know what I mean?
Gratitude.
Yeah.
Gratitude.
Right. Gratitude, praise, and blessings upon everybody. Peace and light to everybody as well. You know what I mean? That everybody get their download and the information that they need to, to connect with their higher self, because that's the goal. And I think people forget that. In the midst of this, they're forgetting that you have to connect to your higher self. That's the whole goal of this thing. You can have the land, you can, be president here, you can be anything here. But if you're not connected with your higher self, there's nothing. You're right back in the same boat you've been in. You feel what I'm saying? Just with a little bit more power. So we ain't trying to do that. What we trying to do, the reason why I'm on here telling y'all about the spiritual side of things is because you got to get this spiritual side. Your higher self gonna tell you everything. Everything that I know now came from my higher self. Everything. From us being the Indians, from my bloodline going all the way back to the Olmecs. Look at me. I look like an Olmecs. That's my ancestors. I'm doing the same thing they doing. The mushroom. We working with that. We traveling for you Masons. We traveling too. And we done. We know what it is. For warlocks and for you witches. You feel what I'm saying? So different things that's happening. Like you said, we're gonna guard our queens. We know they're coming for the land. And, the queens will be able to get the land again. We have Empress is back. Red Bird. We give her enough respect. Anything you need, we got your back. You know what I'm saying, sis? Sis already on the land, and we had to serve. We just waiting for our marching orders. And once we get that, we gonna march. You know what I'm saying? As well as for the queens of the land as well. Because we got the Empress, and then we got the queens up under her that's coming up as well. So, like, for all you queens out there, understand that I'm just coming into the knowledge of this. You feel what I'm saying? And I'm on fire when it comes to it. The queen right here will tell you about it as well. Because all we here to do is serve y'all. So we here in service of the real queens of the land. If y'all rise up, and everybody ain't a queen yet. So we ain't just saying queen to everybody. We saying queen to the people who working out the contracts and the trust, who been doing it for years and trying to figure it out. Most of them are queens. Who we talking to? Okay, and they're gonna get their shit back. Okay, so that's really what we talking about. And no blessings to everybody, man. Peace and light to everybody. Anything else, sis?
Peace. I think we are concluded for now. People's heads might be spinning and shit. Like, what just happened? You know what I'm saying? Hit the rewind.
We just flowing with the spirit, man. Letting the spirit do what they do. Letting our higher self connect. They know what the higher self know what the people need. We all connected. We all one in that realm. We're all one. We're all connected. You know what I'm saying? All this stuff, sacred geometry, all this stuff is connected. You know what I'm saying? So
yes,
people need. I'm gonna get it, and I'm gonna say it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we want to thank everybody for tuning in to this special episode of the You Thrive Everyday show. Again, I'm your host, AP, owner of You Thrive Coaching. It's You Thrive Coaching everything. So youthrivecoaching.com, on the IG, on the I even got a TikTok. I'm about to put some stuff up there. You know me in this media, y'all know how I get down. But basically, my focal is Facebook, and every video, even the reels, all of that is on YouTube. The tube, You know, I got my brother over here teaching me about this Rumble. So we about to get it cracking on the Rumble. You know what I'm saying? I'm stepping into it. Spirit said to do it. I'm doing it. Okay, so we love y'all. Peace, love, and bliss to all. Peace to the gods. We out.